Hello, it's Tuesday, April the 4th of 2023, and a couple of my friends are coming along here in a week or two, and they're going to park their motorhome on this particular spot here. So I have to get this thing moved out. I got it opened up already, and I do have my roof laid over the top, set at probably a 112 pitch or a 212 pitch, just enough to shed the rain off the transmission and clutch cavities and most of the steering clutches. Water goes down there, it's going to drain out the bottom. But right now we got to concentrate on removing this big ass winch. I thought it unbolted here. I could take it off in two pieces, unbolt it here. The bolts are in the cavities here, but on the bottom they're mounted the same way, but that cavity is bolted flush to the case there, and it contains the final drive oil access and whatnot. So I can't get at it, so I'm gonna have to take it all off in one piece, which probably all right as well. So we're gonna get after it. This is the swing bar that's holding my drawbar up. I'm just going to leave the drawbar on, but drop this swing bar. It'll just hang down here for now. Then I got to get in here and take these two bolts this side, two bolts the other side. And then I think 2 or 3 bolts up on top, and then it'll be free. So we're just going to move over to the other side. Nice old school square headed bolt. And of course it has to have an oddball size. From 1.125 to 1.25 inches. Same size of bolt, but it's the same size of bolt, but it's got a great big head or a big nut on it. There we are, she's off of there. Just going to put all these bolts, the 4 bolts, back in so we don't lose them, for one thing, and then maybe keep the winch close into this casting. I can see it's already pulled apart a little bit, so I'm going to tighten up, just snug them up. I'm not going to get too carried away with torquing them up, but we'll put them in both sides again and then remove our winch bolts. Don't do this at home, but sometimes you got to do it. I just double length the wrench, and it will break eventually, or the wrench will. So just don't do that at home. These bolts here are, I believe this one here is the same as the other side. It's, yeah, it's rotating. They're actually studs that just go into the casting. So they're coming out as a set, like a stud and a nut. So there we have it. That's the last of the bolts. Now we'll just get our forklift, the old Clark, going and get a chain around here and try to bar this apart. Hopefully it's just going to come off of splines and whatnot and come out as one whole unit. Of course, we'll probably spill some oil on the ground. What's new? I did drain the darn winch. Honestly, I did. But apparently, I made another mess, so that'll be another cleanup. Well, I drained all the winch dry, but and I thought the bevel gear area was drained down to that level, but apparently not. So got a bit of a mess there, so we'll just clean it up. This is what we're after here: access to those counter shafts, rocking shafts on both sides. There's two of them, one right here. We'll take them apart and then pull them shafts right out of there and extract our mechanism off the steering clutch drums. In the back of these bars that go through to hold these actuators, there's a threaded hole there, and somewhere along the road I have learned to run a tap through these things so I can run a slide hammer, like attach my slide hammer to it. Now, I already did the other one, but this one here seems like it's at a different size, or maybe the darn hole is already pulled. Yeah, this one here, I already run it in, and it feels good. It's in good shape. So maybe they put a different, pulled that one and drilled it out and rethreaded it. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I really want to use the slide hammer on those rods or those bars. But if all else fails, I guess we'll just, like I see inside, a bunch of pipe wrench. You see, that's not the right size either. So I'll get my slide hammer. Maybe I can run the slide hammer on there the way it is. Go from there. Well, this one here is pulled as well. It's not going to hold that hammer in place. I swung this plate out of the road so it's opened up so I can try this out here. I got a little conical washer, if you may. It'll go around the outside of the shaft, and I'll just tighten it in. I think it's coming this way because the bolt gets easier to turn. Yeah, I think it's coming. Not much travel on the threads. There's only like maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of thread there. So we'll have to, we'll back it off and we'll see if we got the shaft coming outside of the casing. Well, no, it's flush. It might be out a little bit. So I'm just going to run the bolt back in and use the hammer. Maybe I can make it travel the other way. Yeah, it's gone in 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to keep on working at it and try to get that extracted. Well, just a little WD-40 spread around, and I think we got it moving quite well. It's coming out now. Just take this out of here. Coming out nicely now. There's all the pieces, and the one side is out. Well, I got this side to come out as well, but this hole is totally stripped. So just it was looser, so just hammering it this way, we got it to move out. And now, of course, it's going to be I hit the rod a couple of times, so I have a couple of burrs on there to deal with. Okay, those are out of there. I cleaned up this shaft, and there's some hammer marks on the shaft here. Those are what I put on there, but behind here, these are pipe wrench marks that I never put on. So that was from before somebody had taken this out, and I can see that they did some, beat the iron a little bit. You can see that there's file marks here and over here. I can see that they've dressed it up somewhat already from before when they took it out. So I'm going to have to dress it up even better, because it was really hard. Even the end here has some leftover. That's why it was so hard to get out, leftover pipe wrench marks. So I'm going to clean the bore holes out really good and clean the shaft up really good. And then I don't have a lathe or anything like that so fancy, so I just got to use a file and emery cloth, clean it up. These roller bearings, don't really want to touch them too much. They're really in good shape, and they well oiled or greased. They got a really thick coating of heavy, sticky, greasy stuff on them. So they're in good shape in that regard, the roller bearings. Even here, the throwout bearings spin around, absolutely no sound out of them, so they're going to be good. Both sides, I can just spin them around. They don't have any growling dry, so they've been well lubricated over their lifetime anyway, so that's good. There is a little bit of oil been trapped in here. Something's leaking, because the brake bands are saturated with oil, so I'm not going to replace them. These don't look original, because they got a green kind of a primer paint on them. That's not original. Cat would not have that, my experience. They just had bare steel. What I'm going to do is take these 4 little bolts off of each side, let the bottom ones relax, and they'll come down into this hole area, and I'll pull the pin out of the front part, pull this part of the brakes off, undo these bolts on either side, and pull the bonnet off of the bevel gear. And basically everything's going to lift right up. And I will just overhaul this side. I will not open up that side at all. I'll just do this side. It's the one that's slipping. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to call her a wrap here. And next video we'll cover all that, removing the bevel gear and the steering clutches. Okay, we'll catch up to you later. Just something interesting to note. I drained the oil out of the transmission area, which is one compartment over, and I was just noting like how bright and yellow that whole thing is. The whole cavity has got a nice coating of paint on it yet. Certainly not rusted. Obviously somebody has been in here, because these fold over locks are not exactly installed correctly. It'd be making old Squatch have a eye twitching problem. And even this here bolt here, I think, is actually missing the fold over lock, but the rest of them are just kind of like reused, definitely. So I think these are the only two that are actually would be Squatch approved. These ones here are just mangled. But the other cavity up ahead here is, it's in actually pretty good shape, but it's a dry cavity. It's got oil sprayed around over it and a little bit of oil hanging out in the belly of it. But I'll get after it and wash gun it out, drain everything, and go from there. I'm not going to tear it right apart. It all looks in pretty good condition, so I'll just clean her up. And even this here cavity back here is dirty from age, oil leaking, or oil applied to these roller bearings, etc. All in all, pretty darn nice condition.